This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNN Live. We're at the Growth Capital Expo 2014 here in Las Vegas. I have David Weild of IssuWorks, a private company, and a speaker at this conference. David, welcome back to SNN Live.
It's terrific to be here. Good to see you again, Shelley.
So what are you speaking on today?
Well, today we're talking about Jobs Act and looking at the legislative calendar going forward. There's a lot of activity in Washington. You know, we got the Jobs Act passed a while ago. There are some other bills that are, in fact, I think Patrick McHenry today, Congressman McHenry introduced a bill today to fix Title III crowdfunding. So a lot of activity, and I think that we've done a great job of committing or creating a movement to kind of reinvigorate small company capital formation and the job market in this country. So it's an exciting time to be an American active in equities markets.
So there have been a lot of changes needed. Now the changes have begun. We have to keep the changes coming. What do you think the next wave of changes will be?
Well, I think you're going to see legislation introduced to improve Title IV, which was the Reg A Plus, kind of a hybrid between a public and a private offering, but really it's an exemption from registration. So it's really a newfangled way of going public for smaller companies up to $50 million in proceeds. SEC has been in the process of putting rules together on that, and I think that's going to be an interesting opportunity for many smaller companies going forward. Unlike the old Reg A, it requires an audit and financial reporting. There's a bad actor provision to keep the bad sponsors from getting involved. But I think that it'll help issuers keep the cost down if it's done effectively. So that's very exciting. You see, obviously, a lot of emergence, even at this conference, of the Title II crowdfunding platforms to accredited investors. And I've heard that about 900 companies now have been under 506C have been financed in the private markets, including IssuWorks. We were actually the first one on September 23rd at 12:01 a.m. to declare that we were going to do a private placement under Title II, and we weren't really even ready to do it. But we wanted to just put our stake in the ground because I think, as you know, that recommendation was lifted from a paper we wrote called a wake-up call for America. So we, as sort of the father of that particular, or the inspiration for that particular form of finance, we thought we should eat our own cooking.
What does IssuWorks do?
We are using technology, building out technology and approaches to get to the long tail of the institutional distribution curve initially. Ultimately, we'll get out to retail, but it's an incredibly labor-intensive process, and there's a lot of wear and tear on managements and investment banks. How do you market to the other 3,500 institutional investors, the subset that's really relevant? How do you figure it out, target it, get to them on transactions in the aftermarket so that ultimately smaller capitalization companies can get better marketing support? The problem, and liquidity support. I mean, I think, as you know, when market structure changed beginning in the late 1990s, and we went to electronic market structures, we gutted the economic incentives for brokers to market. So 100,000 retail brokers that once really marketed stocks, and all those middle market institutional sales desks, those are essentially gone, and people are now acquiring assets in the market, and so that basically caused the bottom to fall out of the support for small capitalization companies. So,
are you talking IPO or aftermarket?
Well, we actually, most of our clients right now are actually already public companies because they get it. They understand the dysfunction because they've lived it firsthand. We think that the IPOs, we'll do a lot of them. They're actually not even in our projections because we think that they don't understand how dysfunctional that aspect of the market has become. But once they are public, they really get the value of what we do. But we are getting referrals for companies that are tracking to go public to help them more systematically do testing the waters, because our model is that we don't take commissions, even though we're a registered broker-dealer. We don't take open market commissions, and so we don't have a conflict. We're very company aligned, and then we're very aligned with the investment banks that we're working with to make sure that they can broaden the distribution and do the right kind of distribution job. So the difference is that with us, we're going to make sure that the people that we put you in front of are really pre-qualified, that they own stocks like you. It's not a waste of time, that they have a reasonable turnover rate. They're investors. They're not flippers, if you will. And so it's about getting out there and building systematically a book and an exposure level so that when you do go public, right, you're going to have a market which is very much more knowledgeable, and they got you up on their radar screen so that if a block of stock comes free, instead of it killing the price of the shares, you actually can have somebody who supported it.
Okay, let's get your website out there.
It's www.issueworks, no E, ISSUWORKS.com. And I call your attention, there's a thought leadership section there, which has all the work that we did that led up to the Jobs Act in Congress, and then some of the subsequent work, including our testimony in the House Financial Services Subcommittee on Capital Markets.
Perfect. Thank you, David, for coming on to SNN Live. This is David Weild from IssueWorks. It's a private company. I'm Shelley Kraft on SNN Live, and we're at the Growth Capital Expo 2014 here in Las Vegas. David, always a pleasure.
Yeah, not my pleasure. Good to see you, Terry.
Shelley.